Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening in the podcast. It is Saturday, September 14, 2024. I wanted to come and speak to you guys about this topic, and let me give you a trigger warning because what I'm going to speak about is very sensitive. I do understand there's a lot of people struggling right now with the depression and just maybe you can say realizing that abuse happened to them when they were a child. So I'm going to speak about those topics. So I just want to give you a trigger warning before I start, but also I want to say thank you so much to everybody who's listening using Apple Podcasts. I do see that there's a lot more people listening. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for following me on Apple Podcasts as well. Thank you so much, of course, to everybody who's listening on Spotify. And thank you to the new YouTube subscriber, everyone. Here we are, guys. About 2 days ago, I came here and made a video about a pastor who went into after being charged for abuse of a family member, abusing a minor and being charged, and he was put in jail and got out of jail on bond. He walked into a hospital emergency room and went to the public bathroom there and took his own life. Okay, and I was talking about that, and just today, I think it was late last night, I learned about this another issue happening in the church. And I remember speaking about the previous video about people having hidden sin and how sin is being dismissed basically in the church. Excuse me, my water bottle just popped for me. So hidden sin are being dismissed in churches. Things are not being addressed. The narrative, what I was saying in my previous video, is that the narrative has to change. Okay, we obviously have a problem. We can call 2024 all we want, the year of exposure, but everything that's being brought up to the surface is telling us that we have a big problem, guys, and something has to be done. Okay, something has to be done. I understand 100% how sin is so powerful. I mean, Jesus came to die on the cross so we can have redemption of our sins. That's how big sin is. Dealing with the sin, you repent and you ask God to forgive you, and you try to stay away, and out of nowhere you're like back at it, and you're like, what just happened? It's a very powerful thing that can overtake you if you have to seek daily the Lord and go into fasting and prayer. And there's a lot of people struggling. This is the urgency that I have, because things are not being addressed in churches these days. There are other things that are being addressed, the money thing. Everybody wants to speak about tithing, right? What good is it going to do to a man to keep on with their tithes when they're struggling with sin? You think God is going to be like, what? Oh, he's a liar, right? He's a murderer. He abuses children and he steals from his employer, but he has no record of missing tithes ever. He gives to the church all the time. Open the windows of heaven. Forget it. Let's continue on, right? Sin has to be dealt with. And when I say this, I mean the narrative has to change. We need to start speaking about how sin is damaging to your own soul. Like, people will go to hell for sinning. Okay, sin. Jesus came to address that issue that we had. So without Christ, right, there's no redemption of sin. So if you don't have Jesus and you don't ask for forgiveness and stay away, you're like, there's no hope for you. And another thing that I'm going to speak about, here's a young lady, 40 years old, took to YouTube to speak about her relationship that she had with the woman pastor for many years. Okay, and the tragic story about this is that this woman, okay, 40-year-old woman, said that she started a sexual relationship with a woman pastor out of North Carolina when she was 18, going to these trips on with the first lady. That's what they call the wife of a pastor in a lot of the churches, the first lady. And this woman, they groom her And the mom is like, because this is the thing, this is what I'm telling you, you have to be careful who you leave your children with. I do understand, because of need, we're so like, well, they're people of God, they go to church. We cannot do that anymore, guys. There are people who are struggling a lot with sin that are hidden, okay? And we have to, one thing is to know somebody, and you can really see the fruit. Jesus didn't say, oh, you look at if they tithe, you look how often they go to church, and you look how often they volunteer, and that's how you know they're a good person. Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit, okay? These days, everybody's just basing everything on what they assume and what they see. It's almost like on Judgment Day, they're going to be like, hold on, Jesus, time out. Hold on, Jesus. You really talking about that couple? Because I know that couple, and they run a Bible study. And are you sure? Can you give them your license so he made sure that Jesus has your correct name? Because it looks to me like Jesus is getting it all wrong. Jesus said, in the Bible, he said, depart from me, I never knew you. He's talking about people who are in the church, who know about doing the works, because they turn to him and say, we did all of this for you. They say, in your name we cast out demons. And Jesus is like, I don't even know who you are. Who do you think he's talking to? The people in the world? No, he's talking to Christians. And that's in the Bible for us to know. There's a lot of things happening in churches that people think that they're just going to go on with life and nothing's going to be brought up to the surface. The sad thing about this story that I'm going to speak to you about is that after so many years, her name is Dorica James. She took her own life. She couldn't cope with the whole thing after so many years. And people say, wow, she's 40 years old, she took her own life. Yeah, and everything started when she was 18, and people could be so cold because there's no compassion anymore, right? It could take years for somebody to realize that was abuse. Okay? When you're 18 and your mom is saying, go off with the church ladies to overnight, stay in New York and whatever, just stay with them, just do everything they tell you to do. That's what they say, right? And you're like, oh wow, but this lady's buying me gift and I'm not gonna get into details, right? But it's like, there's something called grooming. It's a process, okay? And then if you see an adult person, right, that's becoming a little obsessed with your child, that is a problem. And I said that on my previous video. You have to open your eyes out of convenience, and everybody's working. Everybody's like, oh, can you babysit for me? You're so nice, you're this and that. You need to pay attention. You're giving a child for that. You can raise them well, raise them in the Lord, and also protect them, okay? That's why it could take years for anybody to realize, oh man, when I was this age, that happened to me too. And people are like, why they waited so long to come out and say that they were abused? Because they don't even know what it was back then. Right? As you get older, as you get closer with the Lord, you're like, wait a second, that lady was a little too much with me. That was odd. I can't believe that actually happened. And the memories start coming back to you. That's why you have to have compassion for people. Every anomaly that you see on somebody, rest assured there's something spiritual behind it. It could be anything. And I've spoken about homosexuality, guys. A lot of the time, this is my opinion, you have to, if you trace back that person's life, somebody who's dealing with homosexuality, that person was probably abused as a child, and this is what happened to her. A woman pastor, right? People that are put on pedestal. The first lady of the church groomed this young lady on her teenage years, and then became her lover, basically, right? And she did a whole series. I'm gonna put it here so you guys can, if you're strong enough to listen to her testimony, you'll see how she struggled. So much so, guys, that just last week she took her own life. Like I said, what I'm going to speak about is so sensitive. And we need to speak about it because so many people are struggling. No church is going to talk to you guys about this. They're not going to talk. They're going to say, you have to tithe, because we're thinking man, God is going to look every other sin, right? And we know what the Bible says about doing works. right? It's like, oh yeah, you cheat on your taxes, right? You're leaving housing projects for your entire life when you know that's only to help you when you go into an economic crisis, right? And it's like, really, you cheat on your taxes, you don't report your cars, right? So you don't pay taxes even though you've been living in that city for 3 years. You don't report your car, you cheat on your taxes, you fake numbers so you can get food stamps, you live in housing projects, you lie, you cheat, and you wish bad on people. But if you give your tithes, God is gonna open the windows of heaven. Here we are. God is gonna be like, what? They do all of that, but let me check the tithe. The tithes are good. Okay, never mind. Open the windows of heaven, and they're good to go, right? There's such an emphasis about giving. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. There's such an emphasis in the narrative in the churches needs to change. Okay, the blessing of the Lord would not give you sorrow. What good is it gonna do to you to have material things, right? And you're struggling with sin. You're killing your own soul. You're damaging other people. This young woman was molested by this woman pastor for many years, and she said that there was an occasion, right, without getting too graphic here. She said they went to some type of conference in New York, right? And the ladies group, right? And they rented a room, and her mom was staying in the same room with the pastor, the first lady, the child, right? She was 18 at the time, her mother, and as her mom went to the store, she abused her, and it became such a crazy thing that other ladies from the church heard them. And instead of calling it out, right, and saying to the woman pastor, hey, what's going on here? Like storming into the room and just creating a scene and calling the cops and having this pastor arrested, they were attacking the young lady, of course, right? And they were attacking the young lady, saying, everything that you do in the dark will come to light. That's the other thing. We put people in pedestals, right? Oh no, that pastor was not flirting with you. You think you're the one flirting because you're the single one. He's married. Really? Married people don't flirt? Really? Everybody wants to put people on pedestal, and they make it seem like, oh no, that person's always here in the church. I have nothing. Like I said to you guys, on Judgment Day, people think they're gonna speak up for other people and be like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jesus. This person always had the Bible story. That person was always in the church serving. Are you sure you're talking about the right person? Really? Because you think you know people's heart? There's a lot of people struggling with sin, hidden sin. Okay, so you cannot base things and give your children to these people. Oh yeah, go to camping with them, go to camping, go all of this, right? She said, Torika James, she said that she, when she told her mom was, her face, she will never forget how her mom looked at her in complete disbelief. And she said she was having a relationship for many years with this woman pastor, right? But she said the same woman that will get on the pulpit and say, homosexuality, this and the other, and that's a demon and all of that, was abusing another child. And when she reached out to her after so many years, saying that how she had to get therapy and all of that, she said, you need to get over it, right? Because God forbid they lose their position in the churches. Nobody wants, like I said to you guys, people know, okay? The people close to you, they know. And the worst thing is that they want to keep quiet. When they see things, they want to keep quiet. And that's God is watching all of that. It's almost like, what happened to the fear of the Lord these days? What happened to compassion? We're so quick to attack people that are struggling with homosexuality. Like I said, a lot of the times what happens is when that innocence is taken from a child. I'm not therapist, but I'm just giving you this revelation that God gave me. When that innocence is taken from a child at such a young age, then they're so tempted to to be attractive to the same sex, and it creates a chain reaction because then they do the same thing to other people, and it's a chain reaction. It's almost like it's a damage all the way around. And it's so sad, you guys. So I'm sure this woman pastor, it could have been that she has some type of interest or curiosity or something, or saw this teenager as vulnerable. And people can be like, oh, well, how do you know that? There are people who, it's almost like, those people, have you ever seen those people? I don't know if that still happen, but at the mall, right? They have the kiosk. Have you ever looked at them for a while? You notice they don't approach everybody. There are people who are such a great salespeople. They know how to play the game. So when they see a child who perhaps doesn't have a father in the home, right? Perhaps they see, oh, you like that? You like using computers? I'm gonna buy you an iPad next year or something. It's like, what is an adult family friend that you might have buying your kid expensive gift? Like, what is up with that? And people, she just love her so much. She's like a second aunt to her. Be sure, like, I'm not saying people don't have pure intentions. I'm not saying anything like that. But all I'm saying is that the enemy is very clever, okay? And you need to keep your eyes open, right? So just like I said, people at the mall kiosk, you can see, if you sit and you just stare and see how they operate, right? You will notice that they don't approach every person that passes them by. They learn how to read. Who can they really convince? Who can they really speak to? And the same thing can happen with people who are dealing with trauma, with sexual immorality. They know how to identify other people, that they can be like, I can probably talk to her and see how far we can get. You guys, this is something like, I'm telling you, it's just, I know there's people struggling with this. And when I heard this story, and it's so sad because, like I said, she took her own life, right? She felt like, even then, even though they heard noises, right? Like I said, I don't want to get too graphic. The other ladies from the church heard them, whatever, in that hotel room. And instead of calling it out and calling the pastor out and be like, we need a meeting ASAP, what's going on? Why is this woman pastor staying in the same room with a teenager? Instead of calling it out, they were like accusing the teenager, of course, right? Because we put people on pedestal. We're like, how dare the first lady will never do anything like that. It's that teenager girl. Look how she dresses. Like she needs deliverance, right? It's like, really? Yeah, that's crazy. So I'm gonna read to you the story briefly. North Carolina woman takes her own life after disclosing details of alleged abuse by a Israeli pastor in a video series of Facebook. Like I said, I'm gonna post the Facebook thing if you want to know more about her testimony. You can go ahead, and she has an Instagram and everything. That's all. She left it all public. I guess she wanted to help other people struggling with this. A woman said she ended her life. Well, a woman from North Carolina, Sally, ended her life over the weekend after posting videos on her Facebook account where she spoke about the sexual abuse that she experienced starting at the age of 18, which she had kept hidden for 22 years. Let me tell you something. People can say, oh, well, it started when she was 18. I remember something, when I read this, I was like, wait a second. I remember, because people think, the moment somebody reaches 18, it's like, okay, you're on your own. Go buy, rent, get your own car, rent your own apartment, buy everything, pay your own bills. No, it doesn't work like that. Not everybody, when they're 18, they're in that level that they can do that, the immaturity level like that. I know a lot of people think they are, but they're not. I remember biblically, very vivid, I meant, when I was graduating college and they were welcoming the new class, right? I was graduating college. We were all in the auditorium. They're bringing in the new freshman class, a couple of them, kind of like to introduce them or something. I don't know what that was, but it was like 5 of them. And we looked at them and we were like, we were all laughing because they looked like they were 7 and 8, and we were like, these are the freshmen coming in next year. They look like little kids. And we were like, is this for real? And when I heard that this whole thing happened when she was 18, I immediately went to that image again. I'm like, yeah, like some people can say, well, you know, she's legal, she's 18, she was an adult. You guys know what I mean. Like, just because you're 18 doesn't mean that you have that maturity level. You have a legal age, but you doesn't mean that you have the maturity level. And we can see it when you go to a store, right? And you have a teenager help you. There's a difference. You know, some of them help you with manners, and then there are other ones that they don't care. They're like, oh, you need a bag? No, I'm buying 30 items. No, I don't need a bag. I'm good. Like, really? It's just like this maturity. You guys know what I mean. So everything started when she was 18, and she kept it hidden for 22 years. Like I said, this is why people who go through abuse, they don't even realize it's abuse into so many years. Like, wait a second, that's what that is? When they're buying you gift and they always want to take you out, right? You're 40 years old hanging out with a 17-year-old big, friend of the friend of the friend, because they're good people. One time it's okay. Oh yeah, you guys are going to the mall for Christmas shopping, okay. But like an ongoing thing, that's a little odd, okay? That's a little odd, it's a little weird. So pay attention, okay? Pay attention, guys. I'm not saying that you shouldn't trust people. There's a lot of pure people with great intentions, people that really want to help you. But even so, you have to, if you feel something in your gut that's like, it's a little odd the way she's just complimenting my child over and over again about how she's dressed. That's for you to pay attention, okay? And also it can happen to boys too, okay? So in November of 2023, Torika James, using the name Eternity Phillips on Facebook, published an extensive post titled My Testimony. Early this year, she initiated a series of videos entitled The True Confessions of a Teenage Mistress, in which she detailed her experience of alleged child abuse. In her post, Torika revealed that on October 22, 2023, she confided in her mother about the secret she had shared with only a few individuals over the past 22 years. Accompanied by her younger sister for support, she disclosed that she was 18 years old when she was 18 years old, the First Lady of the church allegedly engaged in long-term sexual relationship with her, which continued throughout her college years and beyond. Okay, I don't know how. I mean, I just, there are red flags, okay, that you see, and we're like, yeah, but they're people of God. Like, come on, really? It's your mind. You're always thinking bad about people. That's what people say to you. What are they gonna do? They're always in the church. They're always teaching the Bible. They really know their Bible. Really? You know who also knows the Bible? Okay, I'm laughing because people are just, we put labels on people and we move on. And we're like, oh, they're safe. They're church people. Satan also believes in Jesus, right? Excuse me. Satan also believes in Jesus. He knows that there's a Bible, right? So, but he doesn't do anything that the Bible says. Okay. For a moment, this is when she told her mom. Like I said, I'm gonna put her Instagram and her Facebook. You guys, if you guys are interested to know, like I said, it could be very explicit, but you can really hear her story. I don't know what's gonna happen with the pastor. Apparently, she's still, in service. She's still in leadership position. This is why it's so hard for people who abuse to see somebody in leadership still going on and on like nothing's going on, like nothing happened. Um, I don't know what's gonna come after that, but this is what Torika said. For a moment, my mother sat in silence and stared at me, and she said, I will never forget the way her face slowly fell as the impact of what I said hit her. I could see the pain in her eyes, and it broke my heart. This is what she posted on Facebook. Let me give you. Torika addressed the question why it took her into the age of 40 to share her truth, emphasizing that the presence of abuse always matters and that there is no expiration date on the impact it has on victims and their loved ones. I just didn't know, she said. It didn't take me 22 years to decide to tell the truth. It took me 22 years to realize that that's what happened, that was the truth. I was a church youth whom she watched grow up alongside her own two children. Torika said in her Facebook post in November 2023, she herself was a mother figure to the kids in the congregation and to my siblings, and again she was close friends with my mother. Torika expressed that it was inappropriate for the First Lady, it was inappropriate for the First Lady, and her name is Pastor Sonia Spence Walker. Okay, I don't know what's gonna happen. My iPad just went off, but I don't know what's gonna happen with this. Is this gonna be? Are there charges gonna happen? Should this lady be taken away from leadership? Yeah, I think she should be investigated, in my opinion. I think that when something like this is revealed, like I said, when there is an abuse of any form that has not been overcome by that person, you better check everybody else who's surrounding that person, because it creates a chain reaction. And I'm sure, I hope not, but I'm sure that maybe somebody else is her second, her second or third person that she's already doing this to. If she so freely was able to do it to her, to Torika, for so many years, and still got away with it, basically, and it makes you wonder, where is the father? Where is the pastor of that church? Right? Where is the pastor? Like, why is there not, why is he not, checking on that? Like, really, you're gonna go with that teenage lady? Oh yeah, there could be like putting out a lot of excuses. Oh yeah, my assistant, she's my new assistant, this and the other. It is so sad, everything that's happening, guys. This is not the reason that I speak about this, is because, like I said in my previous video that I made 2 days ago, it tells you that there is a sin issue in the churches that is not being addressed. I'm not saying for the pastor to be pointing fingers at everybody and be like, you need to get working on that. Nothing like that, but I think the narrative in the churches need to change somehow. Because there's, where people are indulging in sin like it's nothing. It took Jesus to come here and die on the cross for our sin. That's what he came to do. And there are people struggling and being affected, and youth being affected, and and youth, and then they have their own kids, and then they create a chain reaction, and there's another generation affected by this. And then they turn to the world, and they see the musicians saying, oh, be anything that you want it to be. And that already, that innocence of sexual encounter, I guess you can say, that's supposed to be between married couple, a woman and a man, was taken away from them. And now they're looking at their favorite musician saying, you be, be who you want to be, this and the other, forget everything. This is why we are where we are right now. So like I said, you guys, keep her family in your prayers. She took her own life. It was probably so much to see how after she made the series of videos, she probably heard a lot of criticism from people in the church, maybe from people around her. And that's the other thing, people have no compassion these days. It's not like you can say to somebody, can you snap out of it? Like, really? You know how we all know because we're all sinners. We were all born sinners. We all struggle with something. Like I said, it's so hard. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm doing it again. Like, I've been good for 2 weeks or something. I've been praying and fasting, and here I am again. And you ask God for forgiveness, and He forgives you, because whoever confesses their sins is forgiven by the Lord. Thanks be to God for that. But somebody who doesn't know that, it's so sad for people that don't know. So I think sin is so big, it's so powerful. I mean, Jesus came and died on the cross for it. It's not something that we can do on our own. We need the blood of Jesus. That's how big sin is, and it's not being spoken about in the churches. So it's so sad all around, you guys. It feels sometimes like it's one story after the next, and I think it's happening because we need to speak about it more and more. Okay, and have compassion. When people come and talk to you, have compassion. You can't just tell people, maybe you need to stop doing it. Remember when you struggle with something, was it easy for you to just stop doing it, or did you need to go on fasting and prayer, and it took it some time? And sometimes you also fall back, right? You have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes too. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Have a good day. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe and share. And if you want to know more about me, you can visit my website, julissadesigns.com. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.